So there's two analogies that I've heard, and I want to know what you think of them. One is that men are the microwaves, speaking sexually, and that women are the slow cooker. In other words, it takes us a bit to build up, but once we're there, we're there. To be interested, I mean. And so the idea being that the male can help that process by dropping little notes, saying and doing little things, even throughout the workday, to kind of start the slow cooker. But the man often is ready to go the microwave at the drop of a hat with little provocation. The other thing that I have heard is that men need to have sex to emotionally connect, and women need to emotionally connect in order to have sex.
Yes.
You
I
agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's a real barrier for you as well, because you're saying that your emotional needs are being met, but you're not getting to have the physical outlet to start that up.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. So at home, I will tell my wife, like, let's go to the bedroom, just real quick.
It's like your code.
Like, I'm sorry?
It's like your code talk.
Yes, I will give her like my little, not notes, but my little voice notes that I'm willing, I'm here, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like the slow cooker is unplugged. Like, it's not even warming up. You know, I will, hug her from behind. I will do body contact with her, and nothing, no reaction. It's not there. The reaction is not there. The response that I'm looking for, it's not there. It's like there's no electricity going to the slow cooker, even though I'm trying to warm it up. It's not, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult, and I try to communicate this more with her. And then when we do communicate, it's more about her friends, her family. It's not about us. And I think we should put that always on the first part of the conversation, talking about each other. Even if you're in a same-sex marriage or same-sex relationship, I think the important part would be talk about yourselves. How are you? How's everything? Like, what's going on today? Like, how was this? How was that? Like, what can I do for you today?
Well, it sounds like traditionally that's more the woman's push for the personal connection and talking, and it sounds like you do that.
I'm trying to do anything I can to make it work.
Have you given up hope?
No. Hope is the last thing that will go away.
Really, it's pretty stellar, Mario. It's pretty stellar. Really kind of amazing, because it's easy to lose hope. So it's kind of an example to a lot of us that have had our lives completely changed in the last 15 to 18 months from the pandemic stuff and lack of connection, lack of touch, even down to where I'm at in Bahrain, there are no massages, haven't been for 15 months. And so the very place that some people go to get that touch because they're not going to get home is not being met either. So what guidance do you have? I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that, yes, it's very hard during this time right now.
Yeah. So what guidance, I think you kind of said some stuff, but what guidance do you have for men out there? And then I'm going to ask you guidance for women. What guidance do you have for men in your same situation who are in a marriage that is lacking in it sounds like intimacy in general, to keep them, for them to have hope?
For the male side, I would say, try to keep communicating, try to meet their emotions. Like, they're more emotional than what we are, so just listen. All you have to do is listen to them. And for her, for the female side, I would say be more willing to accept physically pleasure.
To receive,
be more
you
willing
mean?
to receive pleasure. Yeah, sometimes I feel like the female side does not want to masturbate. Doesn't want to give self pleasure. Does not want to feel an orgasm. And I would say, let yourself free. Let yourself out there. Have that sexual connection with your partner. That would be my if there's something they can learn, this would be what I would tell them.
Okay. And I will say this from the female perspective, and again, it's not always the female who's holding out, but from the female perspective, sometimes there may need, especially after giving birth, there may need to be hormonal checks to make sure everything's on the up and up there. For example, I went to the doctor not long, I guess it was about 10 years ago for me, and found out that I have very little testosterone. And I didn't even realize women had testosterone, but we do have a small amount, and it's very needed. It helps address anxiety, depression, sleep issues, and so just that little bit of testosterone that I do take still, it helps that anxiety and to keep depression away. It helps my sleep, but also any kind of physical desire and things like that can help tremendously. So you women, get your checks done, get your hormone, and often I'm finding women have to ask for their hormones to be checked. That's not an automatic process, unfortunately, unless the doctor's really on top of things. So that's a huge part of it. The other part of it, and you haven't said this, Mario, but I'm going to say it, is that women, I'm willing to take the negative comments on my page to say this, that sometimes it's not waiting until you feel like it to submit. It is submitting until you feel like it. Because it's one of those things where once you tap into that desire, it kind of triggers more desire. But when we can shut that down better than anyone. And when it's shut down, if you never scratch that itch, it may never raise. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Does that make sense, Mario?
It does, yes.
Would you agree or disagree with that?
I do. I agree. We do the same. At least we try to do the same by being there for them emotionally and listening to them and what their needs and what they want. So I think it should be both ways, yes.
So you're saying, just like I'm saying, don't do it when you feel like it. Do it before you feel like it, and then you'll start to feel like it. You're saying that works for you emotionally, being there for them emotionally as well.
Yes, like for the males out there, don't wait for them to start communicating with you. Don't wait for them to start being more emotional with you. I'll tell them to be emotionally connected with them and talk to them more often now as well.
But after, I don't know what your job is like, but after a full day of high stress, high chaos, which is often what's around me here in Bahrain anyway, by the time you get home, you eat dinner or whatever, traditional schedule anyway, what if you just don't feel like talking or emotionally connecting? What then?
You have to make that time. You have to make that balance. Yes. I mean, yes, there's going to be days you don't want to, and it's okay to have those days, but you cannot have weeks. You cannot have months doing that. You can have days doing that, but not weeks or months. So it's okay to have those bad days, but weeks and months is unacceptable. I think you should make time and keep the balance in all folders that you have in your life.
So is there any part of your life that is lacking that you wish, other than the physical, of course, that you wish you had more of? Speaking of balance.
I do. I wish I would have more time with my girlfriend, like being able to see her like I was seeing her before the pandemic. being able to hold her hand, you know, touch her, I don't have that right now. So, yes, I wish that.
Sounds like it's very important to you. What about, let me ask this, two questions actually. How does that work for her? How does she get those needs met for her?
We communicate a lot. Her needs are they're met by communicating.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on the phone a lot. We're trying to do videos as much as we can. Yeah,
certainly creative.
Needs that touch too.
Yeah.
But for now, that's what we can do. But yes, she does that too. Her sex drive is high as well, like you mentioned it. For being 45 years old,
mm-hmm.
Yes, it's out there. It's ridiculous. Yes, she is on point. So
it has to be stressful for you, though, knowing that she's away from you and that her sex drive is high, especially because men tend to think that women think like men. And so does it make you anxious with her there, not with you, and have that high sex drive?
It does not make me anxious, but I do hope that she uses more like toys for mm-hmm. her so she can play with herself. And we've done that in video. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a very hot video that every couple should have, you know.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Well, I know in this parts of the world that those are very rare. So it doesn't make you anxious. That's good. What about the part of your life? And we're kind of rounding up the recording, or the interview. But what a part of your life that you get to take care of you, just in general, like your times of self-care? Do you do massage, or some men are open to like pedicures and things like that? What do you do for your own individual self-care?
So that's very hard. I do like massages, and I think that helps during this time, but it's very hard. It's very hard to keep that balance.
Yes.
And yes, I would say manicures and pedicures help. It's a touch, so it helps when
Absolutely.
You're not getting anything. That touch helps. And besides, it looks good in your hands and your feet. I'm happy about it. It's very hard to keep a balance. You just have to make time, and sometimes it's hard.
So does any of your family know about this? And thank you for answering that, by the way. Does any of your family know about this, the folders, the mini folders that you live?
Only selective family members know about this, because it's a very difficult topic for them, I guess, to expose this out. I also don't feel comfortable telling everyone about it.
Of course not.
And it's just a few of them that I really trust that know about this.
Well, you'd have to trust them a lot, because it only takes the mentioning to one person. You know how it works. It's a very risky thing. Because from what you're saying, this is something obviously you've made very clear you want it to go further. It's not just about sex for you. It wasn't short term, and so if that's your goal to live that life, then you have to be very careful who you talk to about it, because people talk, even well-meaning people in your life will talk. So,
for sure.
Is there any last words that you want to put out there?
I do want to thank you for giving me time in your show and exposing my life to everyone, and hoping that the listener can learn from my experience and put some balance in their life, see what their missing, do a self-exam